Welcome everyone. Have you ever felt like you are living in the dream? Like the world around you has suddenly lost? One moment you are fully present, and the next everything feels distant, strange, almost like movie scene playing out in front of your eyes. It's called the derealization. And today we are diving into the neuroscience behind why this happens and how we can manage it. So let's get started. So when you are experiencing derealization, some things happen in your brain, particularly the brain area called the insula. It's like a brain central emotion. When you are feeling derealized, the insula is not communicating well with the other part of brain that process our sense and emotions. There is a disconnection between how we perceive and feel about the world. As I mentioned, everything can look at flat or unreal during derealization. That might have something to do with our sensory association cortex. This is a part of our brain that helps us make sense of what we are seeing, hearing, and feeling. When during experiencing derealization, this area might not function well, that lead to unreality. So understanding what is going in our brain help us to manage these experiences. One thing, it reminds us that derealization is a natural biological phenomenon. It's not just all in our head in dismissive sense. Actual measurable changes are happening in our brain. If this is happening to you more frequently, how can you manage this? So one approach is mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness practice can help strengthen the connection between different parts of the brain, including the insula which I mentioned before. It's like a brain workout, allowing it to better combine our sensory experiences with our emotions. Another technique is grounding experiences. These are all about helping you reconnect with your body and surrounding when feel derealized. You can simply focus on your breath or touching different texture around you that can activate those sensory processing area. Actually, some researchers have done remarkable work on role of the autonomic nervous system in derealization. Autonomic nervous systems control things like our heart rate and breathing. So derealization might be partly caused by the imbalance in this system. So techniques that help regulate our autonomic nervous system like deep breathing exercise or even certain types of the yoga might help manage derealization symptoms. One thing that I find really encouraging is the growing understanding of the role of neuroplasticity in dealing with derealization. So neuroplasticity is basically our brain ability to change and adapt. Even if you have been experiencing derealization for a while, your brain has potential to form new connections and pathways. Speaking of learning new tricks, let's briefly talk about cognitive behavioral therapy, that is CBT in short. This is a type of therapy that's shown some really promising results for people dealing with derealization. CBT helps you identify and change thought patterns that contribute to your symptoms. We have been talking about what is happening inside our head. So still it's important to remember that our environment also has a huge role. Some researchers think that stress and trauma can be trigger for the derealization, and part of dealing with it that involves looking at a way to manage stress. This could be anything from the getting enough sleep, which is very important for the brain health, to finding healthy way to cope up with difficult emotion. Now I don't want to get too technical here. There is one interesting theory about something called predictive coding that might help explain derealization. The idea is that our brain is constantly making prediction about what we will experiencing next, that will be based on our past experiences. A mismatch between what we predict and what we actually experience can lead to that feeling of unreality. So understanding this process might help us develop new strategy for managing derealization symptoms. Now it's worth mentioning that some people have found that exploring different perspectives on reality that can actually help deal with derealization. If you think about it, what we perceive as really is our brain interpretation of sensory input. Some people find that learning about a different philosophical or a spiritual perspective on the nature of reality can help them feel less distressed by derealization experiences. Of course, it is important to remember that while understanding the neuroscience behind derealization can be helpful, it could not substitution for professional help if you are struggling. A mental health professional can work with you to develop a personalized treatment or plan that consider your unique experience and needs. Before we wrap up, here is something you should keep in mind, that how you treat yourself during derealization matter more than you think. Let's talk about the science behind self-compassion. It can be easy to get frustrated or scared when you are experiencing this symptom, but beating yourself up about it isn't going to help. So remember, my friend, your brain is doing its best to protect you. Even it's not always doing it most helpful. So treating yourself with the kindness and understanding can help reduce stress and anxiety, which might help improve derealization symptoms. So my friend, treating yourself with kindness and understanding can help reduce stress and anxiety, which might help improve derealization symptoms. So thank you for the watching and see you in the next video.